like the balance that they had in race.
Casey Kane, we congratulate him, his third career pole.
It's all three Hendrick Motorsports in the front.
There's a few movers and shakers out there.
To victory lane is Joey Logano.
Get the inside line on who's fast and who's last before setting your NASCAR fantasy race team this weekend. This is the Inside Line on MRN.com, presented by Hercules Tires. Now, here are your fantasy experts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
It's Fantasy Friday on MRN.com as we welcome you into the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show. This is Robbie Mays. I'm Tyler Burnett. We greatly appreciate you making us part of your Friday afternoon, your lunch hour here on the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show. Robbie, leaving Martinsville, in my opinion, the best race of the year so far.
By far.
Yeah, and of course the finish wasn't all that great, but the racing all day long was just outstanding.
I felt like, Tyler, we saw a little bit of everything on Sunday afternoon. We saw pit strategy, we saw stage strategy, and we saw Brad Keselowski make himself known as the dominant car here in 2017. 2 wins on the season for the 2 car. Right now those guys, they had to overcome a lot of stuff on Sunday afternoon. They had to overcome a speeding penalty on pit road, various handling penalty or strategies throughout the day. And they had beat Kyle Busch, who was, I thought, probably the fastest car on property on Sunday afternoon. So good for those guys. I love a short track. I love a good race like we saw at Martinsville on Sunday afternoon. It's a great crowd, great weather, and kudos to everybody at the Paperclip. If
you made some of your picks based on our show last week, I don't like to brag because Rich Culbreth is all about bragging.
If you based your picks on our actual show on Friday, then you had a good day. If you based our picks on what we talked about Sunday morning with Alex Hayden on Facebook Live, you didn't have a good day.
No,
so I'm sorry.
No, because I had a good day, and some of the stuff on Facebook Live I mentioned was good. I mean, JTG, Doherty Racing, AJ Allmendinger ran from the back of the field. He did exactly what I said. Passed 24 cars. He finished 6th. I'll talk more about him and his teammate later on. Kyle Larson was really the only mistake that we had in the morning, and Alex Hayden was actually all about not starting Kyle Larson.
Yeah.
And not starting Kyle Larson was probably the way to go at Martinsville. If you started the 2 and the 18, you most likely, if you're playing in a 100-man league, was in the top 5 in your league. If you were in our league, you were most likely in the top 100 if you had Kyle Busch or who was it, Brad Keselowski.
I anticipated Kyle Larson to do better than what he did because he was okay in practice. He wasn't great, but I didn't expect him to fall through the field the way that he did, and I expected him to lead a lot more laps than what he did. He only led 23 laps, so you didn't get a lot of laps led points based on him. But if you had Kyle Busch, you got a lot of points on that.
All right, we're heading to Texas this week, a brand new racetrack essentially. None of these teams have seen the reconfiguration besides Chris Buescher's Periscope, and that's it. We also have a new repave. Some of those things we'll talk about with Lee Spencer of motorsport.com. She's going to be on our show today. That's going to be fun to have her on. We'll also give you our 3 surprises leaving Martinsville. We'll play the #1 game show on MRN.com, and that's Under the Rock. And a little bit of a teaser here coming up. There's actually been a pet named after me from one of our fans. So that's going to be exciting. We're also going to give you our winners. We'll give you guys who we think are going to start on your fantasy team this week. That's all coming up on the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything comes to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motor Racing Network has always been your source for motorsports coverage when you couldn't be at the track. Now, never miss another minute of our breathtaking coverage with the MRN app, available on your iPhone or Android device. This free app delivers all the latest news, locates nearby MRN stations, streams your favorite programs, and is your home for live Sprint Cup practice and qualifying action. Search MRN in the App Store or on Google Play. It's the Motor Racing Network at your fingertips, and it's available for free right now.
Driver safety is the #1 priority in racing. It's also the #1 priority in trucking. The Detroit Assurance Suite of safety systems helps to protect drivers, their trucks, and other motorists by helping to mitigate the severity of collisions. Active brake assist, adaptive cruise control, and lane departure warning, all bringing a new level of safety and protection to the road. Don't just want better business solutions, demand them. Learn more at demanddetroit.com.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
Now, back to the Inside Lines dynamic duo. Here's Fat Man and Robbie.
I guess I'm Fat Man? Is that what it boils down to?
Duh.
Wow. Before we get to some of our surprises
Do you even know what show that's
today. No. What is it from? SpongeBob or something? What is it, like Batman or?
Batman.
Oh, Batman.
The TV show.
Oh, okay. Yes, I knew that. I was just
This isn't even under a rock. We're playing that later.
One of our fans of the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show, and then, Robbie, you can bring this tweet up.
And it wasn't your mom this time.
Has a new pet.
Yeah.
All right. And tweeted us while we were in Martinsville. His name is Tyler, and he lives under a rock, of course, and he's a gecko. And I personally think it's an honor that he named the gecko after me. Eric Mueller is his name. He listens to our show. He's listened, for a long time.
Yep.
Eric Mueller 88 is his Twitter handle, and he posted a picture, and it's probably on the screen right now, of the under the rock gecko. Do you think? You think he's honored to have my name?
I think the gecko feels bad about his life choices now because he's named after you.
Wow. Rich Culbreth will not stop calling me, and I don't know why.
So I don't bring my phone in.
Anyways, let's go to our 3 surprises leaving Martinsville. You're number 1.
Number 1 is number 3, Austin Dillon. Started mid-pack, drove to the top 5 on Sunday afternoon, even got caught up in a crash halfway through the race, still got a top 5 finish. For that crowd, I thought that was a good day, their first top 5 finish of the season. Richard Childress Racing is surprising me right now, Tyler. It's probably surprising you too. Austin Dillon was 5th. Ryan Newman finished 9th. Paul Menard, still a little bit of work to do. But we went up and actually talked to RC on Thursday heading to Martinsville. If you haven't seen the video yet, go to our Facebook page and look at it there. He's confident for the first time in a long time. They think they can actually go to the racetrack and win races and compete for top 5 finishes every week. So my number 1 surprise is driver number 3, Austin Dillon.
Yeah, I expect Austin Dillon to win a race this year.
Yeah.
I think he does. I'm not sure where it comes. I don't know if it comes this weekend at Texas, but I think he will win a race this year. Team Penske's my number 1 surprise. And being for the fact that they are winning races right now, but they're also having championship performances. And what I mean by that is they have troubles early on. We saw it at Auto Club. Brad Keselowski with damage at the start of the race comes back and finishes 2nd. Joey Logano starts last in that race, essentially, and comes up and gets a top 10. Last week, they sped on pit road. They also, they had a man over the wall too soon with Joey Logano's team.
Joey had a flat tire. He had to come down for a green flag pit stop.
He was 2 laps down during that race, and they both come back and get top 5 finishes. Of course, Brad Keselowski wins the race. Team Penske is my number 1 surprise right now. And my favorites to both go to Homestead at the end of the year.
Yeah, that was a big deal for them last week. It was their 100,000th start, and the captain was there too, so that was pretty cool to see. My number 2 surprise is Matt Kenseth. 2 weeks on the West Coast swing at Phoenix and at Auto Club, he DNF'd because of crashes. This weekend in Martinsville, I didn't know what to expect from the 20 car this weekend. They're still way down in points, but he goes to Martinsville. He runs near the front most of the day, and he gets a top 10 finish. For me, for that team, that was mission accomplished. Now they can start building on their season. Remember, they had 2 top 10 finishes before they had those 2 DNFs on the West Coast swing. Now they're back to where they should be. I look for Matt Kenseth, probably not this weekend, but I think this weekend or coming up soon, he's going to start being a top 5 car once again.
My second surprise is JTG Doherty Racing. They struggled mightily to start the year. And I don't even know if they have a top 10 this year before Martinsville. Well, now
AJ finished 3rd at Daytona.
Oh, yes. Okay, so besides Daytona, after that, they have not had top 10 finishes and have not run up front.
No.
Well, right now, and last week they did. And I solely put this on AJ Allmendinger being great at Martinsville as to why these 2 teams were good. So Chris Buescher, AJ Allmendinger. Buescher finished 11th. We heard him on NASCAR Live on Tuesday, talked about that run. AJ Allmendinger finished 6th. That was a surprising finish to me to have both those cars up front, and I think JTG was a big surprise leaving Martinsville.
Yeah, that was a good day for that crowd, both of those cars, and I look for AJ to start running towards the front once again. My final surprise after Martinsville is Kurt Busch. Since winning the Daytona 500, this team has struggled. They had the battery problems on the West Coast swing. Tyler just dropped his notes off the table. You couldn't see that. Right now, they got problems. I don't know what's going on. They were out to lunch on their handling at Martinsville. They crashed in the race. They DNF'd in the race. I don't know what's going on with the 41 bunch, but they still have their win. Maybe they're experimenting, leading to the second half of the season. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I was surprised they're struggling as much as they are.
My third surprise quickly before we get to some Texas stuff, Chase Elliott. I mean, so you win a clock on Saturday.
Right.
And then you have a top 3 car all weekend. You finish third. Yet you get out of the car and you say, I don't know how to get around.
You're still not good at Martinsville.
That just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid has what, 5 top 5s this year, something along. I dropped my notes, so I don't know what he has, but Chase Elliott has been. Chase Elliott is a championship contender right now, and he's still not content. That's a surprise to me.
Yeah, I think right now they're disappointed because they still haven't won a race. I thought they were going to win a race last year. I really did. And this year, they've been close. As much as we talked about Kyle Larson so far this year, Tyler, I think Chase Elliott has been just as good as Kyle Larson.
Yes.
He doesn't have the win to show for it, but he's just been just as good.
I agree, and that rolls into our must-starts heading into Texas. We just mentioned, before the segment started, reconfiguration, a new track, a repave. Who are must-starts? Do we have any must-starts heading into Texas this week?
I think you got to look at Kyle Busch. I think if you're going to pick a car out of the hat, I think Kyle Busch is the number one guy that I look at. In at the last 5 races here, he started 4. He was out for an injury in 1. But he's been top 5 in the last 4 races he started at Texas Motor Speedway, and I know that's the old Texas Motor Speedway. But you can still take a lot from the old surface that you can do to the new surface. And if you look at older tracks that have been repaved the last few years, go back to Kentucky last year. I felt Kyle was very strong at Kentucky last year. So my number one must start this weekend is the 18 car.
The best car at Kentucky that day, and I was rolling through some of the finishes there. The best car was Kevin Harvick. He led the majority of the laps. Of course, it was a fuel mileage race, so we didn't necessarily see the best car win the race. But Kevin Harvick was the number 1 fantasy points getter at Kentucky, and he had 128 laps led in that race. Brad Keselowski, of course, won the race. Ryan Newman finished in 3rd. That's interesting. So I think Kevin Harvick. I think Chase Elliott. His last 4 starts at mile-and-a-half racetracks are 5th at Atlanta, 3rd at Las Vegas, 5th last year at Homestead, and 4th at Texas. I think Chase is nearing a must-start. And then my number 1, I think you have to have on your team this week, is Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah.
He led 150 laps en route to a win at Las Vegas. He led 73 laps in Fontana. These big, wide racetracks, mile-and-a-half racetracks, Martin Truex Jr., I think, is the number 1 pick heading into Texas.
And the race on Sunday afternoon is 334 laps, so you can get a ton of points based on laps led. I've got Clint Boyer on my team. I've had him on my team for a while, and he's a lot more expensive now. I got him locked in for $15, so I'm keeping the 14. And if you're looking for a bargain pick somewhere down the line a little bit, Ty Dillon has been running the best out of all of the second-tier drivers this year. So I like Ty Dillon as well this weekend.
The last time we were at a mile-and-a-half racetrack was Las Vegas. Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, Jimmy Johnson, and Kyle Larson were your top 5 fantasy point getters. Practice times are going to be huge this week, and more so any other week, because we haven't seen this racetrack. These guys haven't seen this racetrack. They're going to use every single minute they can on this racetrack to get some times, to get some practice times in. Look at the top 10 average at the end of final practice. I think that's the number you go off of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Lee Spencer is on the phone. We'll talk to her next. This is the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
O'Reilly.
Restore your vehicle's lost power by cleaning your entire fuel system with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Right now, buy 1 bottle, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Keep your engine clean and improve performance with Chevron Techron Fuel System Cleaner. Buy 1, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
Welcome back to the Inside Line Fantasy Show. We've been expecting you. Here are your hosts, Robbie Mays and Tyler Burnett.
We've talked all show long about the reconfiguration at Texas Motor Speedway, the repave that we've seen. Well, we haven't seen yet, but we're getting ready to see today as we get some practice in. Kyle Busch had some comments at Martinsville that I think are interesting. If you're a Kyle Busch fan, this is one of the reasons why you are, is because he speaks his mind. And he had some comments. I think you asked him in the media center, right, at Martinsville, what he thought of the repave at Texas. And, of course, in Kyle Busch fashion, he said this.
Right out of the gate, going there and trying to put rubber down, and it's slick, man. It's so treacherous and just hard to get a hold of and hard to understand what you're feeling with your car, because you can think you're tight and you got all the grip in the world and you're going around the corner and then boom, it just busts loose from out from under you with no warning. Got to do what we know. There's really no homework to do. You can't even watch last year's races. You can't look at anything besides the Boucher YouTube video and just see what the place looks like, so you don't go in there blind. That's about it.
And before that, he mentioned, I hate repaves.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys do. And we're going to ask Lee Spencer about this here in a second. Award-winning NASCAR writer for Motorsport.com joins us today on the Inside Line. And Lee, you were there at Martinsville and heard what Kyle said. He does not like these repaves. Most of these drivers do not like these repaves. What do you think about heading to Texas this week and what we're going to see at Texas this week?
I have to laugh because I was writing about this just as you guys called. I mean, you're looking at a situation where not only did they repave, but they reduced the banking from 24 to 20 degrees in turns 1 and 2. Now, Eddie Gossage said that's going to lower the speeds. I mean, Texas and Atlanta are two of the fastest tracks that we have on the circuit. And you heard Kyle explain it. It's crazy. It's uncertain. It's fast. I think the same guys that are generally fast at the 1.5-mile tracks are going to be speedy here. But NASCAR is giving them, 2 hours to practice on Friday?
Yeah.
They've extended that, so they will have ample time to get used to it, to work on the setups. Most of them have cars that, have already gone through intermediate track, going through the motions at intermediate tracks with Atlanta and Las Vegas already. So I think that they should be well prepared when they get here. As I said on Sirius before, even though these guys complain about this stuff all the time, NASCAR throws back at them, well, these are the best stock car racers in the world, and they should be able to adapt. But I think I'll be interested to see if indeed speed comes off of these, if the speeds are down, because usually they go up with fresh pavement.
Lee, would drivers be not concerned, but as apprehensive of going into the weekend if they had left the configuration of turns 1 and 2 alone, if they had just repaved the racetrack? I get the repave part, the surface is old. I didn't get the reconfiguration of turns 1 and 2. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't get that either unless that was part of the process of getting their French drainage system in, because as long as we've been going there have been weepers. I was there when I hate to tell my age, but no, I was there when they opened the place, because Tyler will bust my butt on it later. But, Tyler, who tells me that I'm older than his mother. Thanks, Tyler. But, when you look at it from the standpoint of the first time we were there, they didn't even have the parking lots paved. And it rained that first weekend, and it was a mess. And I do not go to Texas without my rain boots, because if something happens because of the aggregate of the ground there, just in general, and I'm talking from a geographical standpoint or geological standpoint, the water just does not go into the ground. It mostly stands on top, and people there, they don't have basements because it's just that hard to get through. And so when you have a situation like this and the water has no place to go, it's a recipe for disaster. Yeah. we complain about it because we had delays. I mean, think about IndyCar starting their race in June and ending in August. I mean, we've got nothing to complain about.
Yeah, exactly. We started the show talking about how we're going to pick our fantasy picks heading into Texas because we have no idea what this track service is going to do. We can go back to, however, the last repave we had, and that was Kentucky of last year. And Kevin Harvick dominated that race. However, they were in a Chevrolet that day. Now they're in a Ford. The talks at the first, 2 weeks, because we had Daytona and Atlanta, was, that was a great switch for Stewart-Haas Racing to move to Ford because Kevin Harvick was so good at Atlanta. Clint Bowyer was good. Kurt Busch, of course, won the 500. But now they've struggled a little bit over the last 3 races. What have you heard from that camp, Lee? And do you think Stewart-Haas Racing could be good picks heading into Texas?
Well, I wish I could have listened to Harvick's, listen to Harvick on happy hours because I really want to get a feel as to why, what's happened over the last couple of weeks. I mean, it was like Kurt Busch didn't even show up last week, which, he's got a love-hate relationship with Martinsville anyway. But, and it's not, Kevin has only won once there through the, since 2001. So, that's a lot of races without having a win. But when you look at Atlanta, and I think, Atlanta's fairly similar to Texas as far as speeds and what have you, and you look at Las Vegas, which is, just another intermediate track, I'd be hard-pressed to pick against Harvick, to pick against Keselowski, to pick against Truex. I really think that those guys are going to be solid. I don't think you can just sit there and look at what past drivers have done at this track. I mean, you guys are in a really precarious position trying to pick out who are going to be the favorites. I'd really have to look at the first intermediate tracks this year and see, kind of use that as my guide as opposed to looking down at the stats from Texas and saying, hey, Jimmy Johnson's won 6 times here. Jimmy should be up front. Well, the 48 should be up all the time. They just haven't been of late. Matt Kenseth, he's won twice at Texas and is usually a really good intermediate track guy. He could be a player just because of his background. Kyle Busch, I think the teams that adapt the fastest are going to be the ones that take off, and those will be your powerhouses. But then again, we haven't talked about Kyle Larson, who's just really good everywhere he goes. And not just, when you have guys that figure into the mix because of recent results, regardless of what the history is, because I think we have all kind of come to the conclusion that GM has really upped the ante with Ganassi Racing this year, and the extra, they put the money into getting the right resources for those teams.
Yeah, no question.
Well, Lee, if you want to go back to the first intermediate race of the year at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, it was Martin Truex Jr. who won all 3 stages, if I remember correctly, and went on to win the race. And at Texas Motor Speedway, last year he finished 6th. Last fall he finished 3rd. He's got 4 straight top 10s. He's got one of the best 5 race and one of the best 10 race averages. Yet I felt like the 78 car hasn't been, and he won a stage in Martinsville last week, but then they had handling problems in the second half of the race. Should we look at the 78 car this weekend? Should we look at Truex? What about his teammate Eric Jones?
Truex led 150 laps at Las Vegas, and he has just been. They have been so solid. He has one of the best crew chiefs in Cole Pearn, and I think that coming up with how to strategize stages is right in Cole's wheelhouse. That's why I put a lot behind this team. Hell, I put a lot behind Brian Patty, what he's been able to do for the 17, more so than what Stenhouse has done for himself or any improvement that they've made on those cars. But I think just looking at what they've been able to accomplish, picking up 9 playoff points because of, what he's been able to do in the stages, and I would have to look at, what he did there, what he did at Atlanta, and you can't discount what's going on with Keselowski because, Keselowski wins Las Vegas if he doesn't have that hub issue in the closing lap.
Yeah.
I mean, he just really came alive at the end. Paul Wolf is another guy that knows how to make adjustments when it's coming to, the closing laps, the end game of a race. And, you look at what they were able to do at Atlanta. But as you guys mentioned, Harvick, Harvick was lights out at Atlanta. And if he doesn't have issues, then, does Keselowski win? I mean, that's been so much what has been fun with this this year is that you just don't know until everything happens. If I put on my sports psychologist hat for a minute, and having listened to the cut that you all played again from Kyle, because I heard it at Martinsville on Sunday, does an athlete just kind of psych themselves out when you're that negative going into a weekend? Do you kind of have to, have some sort of mind meld before you get into that situation that you say, hey, this is a new opportunity, a new challenge. Let's go out there and kick some butt and not think repave, because I think you've psyched yourself out before you even strap into the car.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And I was almost worried that Chase Elliott was going to psych himself out last week because he's like, I hate this place. I'm not good at Martinsville, but yet he finishes third and wins a grandfather clock on Saturday. Lee, we're kind of running out of time, so we could talk all day with you. We know that. Who's your pick to win this weekend?
Oh, man. I think maybe Harvick might get lucky. I mean, I think like I said, I think my top three, Harvick has Lasky, Truex. I think it's going to come from one of those. But keep an eye on Eric Jones. Everybody, we've been talking breakout winners all year. If I'm looking to put low money on somebody, I think Eric Jones is going to be the first time winner. Even though Chase Elliott has really been great, keep an eye on Eric Jones.
Wow, that's an interesting pick. Thanks so much, Lee, for coming on the show. We'll have fun in Texas, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Lee Spencer, a motorsport.com award-winning writer, great writer, good insight. I did want to ask her about she mentioned psychology with Chase Elliott. I mean, at some point you got to psych yourself out, and I thought it was interesting to hear her comments about Eric going to be the first-time winner rather than Chase Elliott.
I would have said Chase Elliott.
Yeah,
definitely still.
I think so too.
Yeah.
All right, our last break, and then we'll come back with Under the Rock and everything else, our winners. This is the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires.
O'Reilly.
Improve visibility when you replace your worn wiper blades with Bosch Pure Vision wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts and get a $10 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. Get premium wiper blades that ensure clear vision in any weather with Bosch Pure Vision wiper blades at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Danica Patrick to the front of the field at Talladega. They are side by side behind her. Jimmy Johnson.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
If you have a question or comment about NASCAR, Motor Racing Network has a direct line for you. It's the Fan Forum Hotline.
I'm a newbie to this sport just this year, and I wanted to know.
I was wondering when they measure the length of a racetrack.
Call in at 844-4-ASK-MRN. That's 844-4-ASK-MRN.
Just wanted to send out a big shout out and thanks for covering the race.
The Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to NASCAR.
Let's talk more fantasy racing on the Inside Line. Here's Robbie and Tyler.
Welcome back to the Inside Line Fantasy Racing Show presented by Hercules Tires. I'm Robbie Mays. He is Taylor Burnett. Said so on the radio multiple times over the course of the weekend at Martinsville Speedway.
And you're Ruby.
No one called me Ruby. They called me by my correct name. Speaking of Taylor Burnett, it's time to play our favorite game and #1 rated game show on Motor Racing Network, Under a Rock or Tyler.
Do you live your life up under a rock? Or are you Tyler Burnett?
You're so not going to get this.
That's such a classy jingle.
You're so not going to get this. This week it's a photograph.
Yep, I lose already.
Yep. You have to name the actor.
No, I don't do names of actors.
Who this is. So, Daryl, let's cue it up and let's play Under a Rock or Tyler. Who is that young man?
I know the character.
Do you know what the person's name is?
No, I don't. He's in
Academy Award-winning director,
yes,
actor.
I know. I know the person, but I don't know his name. So I apologize. That's Charlie Sheen's brother, right? Is it? I'm just messing. That's Emilio Estevez or whatever.
No,
but that's Opie. I said that's Opie from the Andy Griffith Show, right?
No, that's Ron Howard.
I know that's Ron Howard.
Yes.
I didn't know his name. Ron Howard. What else was he in? All right, chicken. Bring the chicken on.
Bring the chicken.
That's why we play the show, right? Because you guys want to make me look stupid. So.
He was also on Happy Days.
Oh. I was saying Charlie Sheen's brother is Amelia Estevez. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I meant. But that's not Amelia Estevez. That's obviously Ron Howard. So, why do we play this game? I'm never going to get it right.
That's the point.
All right, Rango had Chris Buescher last week, which is good.
Well, he's got him this week again. All right, so Texas Motor Speedway. We have Kyle Larson. We have A.J. Allmendinger. We have Kyle Busch. I like that. We have Eric Jones. We have Chris Buescher. His winner is driver 2, Brad Keselowski, and he's got Ford as his manufacturer bonus.
Who's your winner?
He had Dinger last week, too.
Who's your winner?
18, Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch wins in Texas?
I think so.
Lee Spencer had Kevin Harvick. I'm going to take Chase Elliott. I think he wins his first race of his career in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. I think Chase Elliott wins, and I picked Brad Keselowski to win last week, so just saying.
Once again, a broken clock is right twice a day, except for yours because it isn't set right. Ron Howard also directed Apollo 13, How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I have seen the How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I have never seen Apollo 13.
One of my favorite movies.
Pretty much any kid movie I have seen. Ask Rich. He'll tell you.
We know. This show has gone off the rails.
What do we have coming up today? Practice?
Practice today for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Of course, tomorrow we have the Xfinity race. Sunday afternoon is the big race at Texas Motor Speedway. Our friends at PRN have the race this weekend. Next weekend is the Easter break. They also have Bristol after that. And we're back on the road at Richmond at the end of the month.
The O'Reilly Auto Parts 500, that's coming your way on Sunday. Green flag is at 1:46 p.m., and I'm sure they're going live at somewhere around 1 p.m. Eastern time is when the Performance Racing Network will be on. Robbie, you have Kyle Busch to win the race this weekend.
Yeah.
You sure you're comfortable with that?
Yeah. And who did you have?
I have Chase Elliott to win the race this weekend, but I'm just going to slide a one in there. Martin Truex Jr. I think is probably the favorite to win the race this weekend.
Probably, yeah.
So look at practice times. Going to be very, very important.
Be crucial this weekend.
All weekend.
Those 10-lap averages are what's going to make or break you this weekend.
Thanks to Lee Spencer for coming on the show. Our producer Daryl Smith. Robbie Mays, I'm Tyler Burnett. We'll talk to you next week. Where are we going? Easter?
Easter.
So we'll recap everything when we are on the Inside Line next. Thank you so much. Good luck at Texas.
You've been listening to the Inside Line, presented by Hercules Tires. Stream us every Friday on MRN.com or the MRN app. The Inside Line is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center, on our Facebook page, on YouTube, or download it through iTunes or Google Play. The Inside Line is a production of the Motor Racing Network.